Welcome to Fierce Encouragement. This is the podcast where we tackle life's struggles with boldness, wisdom, and some practical tools. Now, my name is Mark Walker. I'm a life coach. I'm a meditation instructor. I'm also your guide to navigating the messy middle between where you are and where you want to be. So here at Fierce Encouragement, we blend modern science and timeless wisdom to help you master your own mindset, to cultivate that inner balance in your life, and also to take those courageous steps towards your goals and projects. So whether you're a leader, a new leader, maybe a learner, or just somebody who's ready for some change, well, this is your space for some real talk and some powerful insights and some fierce encouragement to help you live with purpose and confidence. Thanks for being here. Thanks again. This is Mark. I really do appreciate you spending your time with me listening to Fierce Encouragement, listening to a podcast that kind of embodies a Fraser Crane mentality. How can we talk to ourselves better? And I guess it is kind of corny sometimes I think about it. I am turned into a low-rent podcast, Fraser Crane. But you know what? I love it. Honestly, the thing that keeps me coming back is sharing tools that have worked for me. These are things I practice with in my day-to-day, week-to-week. And I want to share them with people, especially my clients and those people that are looking for help. And I'm thankful to share them with you. And honestly, as I get into this week's episode, full disclosure, I usually have a script or plan a lot of this out, have a good outline, a bunch of quotes to share. And honestly, this time I wanted to be more improv-ish and keep it short and keep it sweet and kind of shoot from the hip here. I just have a few things written down that I want to talk about, and they kind of revolve around some things I found in my journal. So the first thing I wrote down, I found it in my old notes from a couple years ago, and it was a quote. I didn't get the unknown, and maybe I inferred it. I kind of feel like there's a sense of that I inferred it or got it from a movie. But it says, most people prefer to stay asleep. Most people prefer to stay asleep. And as I read it, I was reminded of the moment I thought that when we look out at society, we look at a lot of our friends or workplaces or maybe the things that we're struggling with externally, that it can feel really heavy, and we can start to feel that pull, like we're being overwhelmed, the pull of the tide, the pull of anxiousness and depression, and honestly, the heaviness that comes with that. But this quote helps me remember that you and I are among the few that are interested in crap like this. So it might feel corny, it might seem weird, it might feel like you're an outcast in the world when you work on yourself or take time to read, improvement books or go towards your spirituality or your inner esoteric practice with a fierce encouragement. When we do those things that are kind of outside the norm, I think we glean wisdom in the sense of improving our consciousness. If we only spend our life making that aspiration to improve the quality of our consciousness so that we may help those around us, and that includes working on our deficiencies along with our higher qualities, more noble qualities. It means learning from others, but it also means to be scientific subjectively is what I'm doing, helping the bigger cause. And it doesn't come naturally. We have to work on that community connection and that aspiration to help outward as well. So making that distinction, increasing the quality of your consciousness as being one of those things that you're listening to this stuff for. So rock on and keep trying to learn things and grow in ways. When we do try to increase the quality of our consciousness, we will be a little bit pushed off by the mainstream. It won't be mainstream what we're doing, working on ourselves in a fierce way, encouraging ourselves, and reminding ourselves that that is just the facts. We can actually just remember to take steps every day to get a little better, knowing that most people prefer to stay asleep. And I think that begs a question, or at least to kind of like move through my notes here. We do have an innate distrust of self. And I reflect this back, hearing it a lot from clients and conversations I've had the last 2 or 3 months. It is a time in this first quarter of 2025 where we feel like we're not doing what we're going to say we want to do. More and more clients, more and more people feel this emptiness in that they feel like they can't trust themselves. People uniformly hit the button on my survey that they want more confidence every time. I think there might have been one survey in the past few months that didn't hit that button on my poll. Honestly, confidence is one of those is a difficult thing to work on, but there is a science of self-efficacy. There are ancient wisdom practices that can bring our quality of consciousness up and not just stay asleep, but find ways to thrive, to help, to connect, to move towards that unique best version of ourselves. So it doesn't mean to be somebody you're not, but it invites you to open up to those bigger parts of you. And that brings me to the next thing I had written down here, constraints. I was thinking of constraints as I was watching football and people are dropping passes in the playoffs. I was thinking of constraints like the net in a tennis game. I was thinking of constraints, kind of like deadlines and rules that we have, whether they be at schools or on releasing information or getting an assignment done or a work project. Those constraints that we put on ourselves are actually wonderful in that they create the higher quality of the game. If we don't have constraints, if we don't give ourselves some goals or targets, or even just some basic projects, that can often be why we don't feel focused in life. We don't have that accountability towards just a vision. Again, not perfection, but progress. Making sure that we plan and do those things for our life, that where we want to be in 10 years is where we arrive. We want to make sure we're pointing the direction we want to go instead of arguing for that lesser version of ourselves or that less noble part of us. That kind of comes up in a default fear mode. So instead of wasting a few years waiting for permission, you have to kind of actively go out and take it. You have to put constraints on yourself so that you can react violently to the facts of the world, that you can be creative in your work and in your plans and in your community and your relationships. You can be positive and embody that best version of yourself that you want to embody. Create that family life, create the creative projects you want, music, art, businesses, affecting people, helping people, connecting to your spiritual community as well. So giving ourselves those constraints and adhering to them and being consistent on them, I believe, are things that drive the game of our life forward. Again, that isn't to be overly constraints. We don't want to suffocate the game, but we definitely want to make sure we have a few constraints on our life that help us strive towards those goals, those projects, and those things we want to get better at. And finally, we just talked about it earlier, but I wrote down here confidence training. People do want confidence training. People aren't doing what they say they want to do, and it doesn't matter. We all have all the classes we need. We have all the information on YouTube, on podcasts. We can do anything we want, but the real call to quality is doing it yourself, is showing up and being accountable to yourself, of feeling that activity, that motion forward, that momentum start to go for yourself. When we start to do what we say we're going to do, we build up that self-trust, that inner confidence, that confidere. When we start to do what we say we want to do, we build up inner self-trust. That is the pathway towards more fierce encouragement, towards more fierce accountability and self-trust. That's the science of self-efficacy, is showing up and doing what we say we're going to do. And honestly, I think I had it written in my journal earlier, but I've struggled with my nutrition the last couple months. So to be fully vulnerable, thinking about December and the beautiful Christmas cookies that were so available in my neck of the woods during Christmas, and probably overindulging in that and having a few too many glasses of wine and beer. It's time to recommit to my own protocols in my diet and nutrition protocols. And that means reducing that. It means less carbs and sugar and more high quality protein, and letting that be a larger percentage of my diet this week. What are you going to work on? What's that 1% thing you can do right now? That 1 or 2 minutes with the family? That 1 or 2 minutes for yourself, even if it's just journaling or taking a breath before you walk into a hectic house. There's so many things we can do. Again, my name is Mark Walker. I am a life coach. I have been certified through the Heroic Benefit Corporation. I use a beautiful system to help people show up more confidently in their work, but also in their relationships, and especially that relationship with themselves. If you're interested in knowing and learning more about what we might work on, fill out the application that is in the show notes, and I'll get back to you with an opportunity to talk if I think we might work well together. Otherwise, I really appreciate you showing up and listening to Fierce Encouragement. What are you going to do to take that 1 or 2 minutes to get better today, tonight? And remember that most people prefer to stay asleep. So keep coming back here for high quality wisdom. Keep searching out those authors and those other podcasters and learners that inspire you, that help you want to show up as the better version of yourself. And remember that you're worth it. When we put constraints on our day, when we put those kind of things we want to, the kryptonite or the things that pull us away from our best self, we limit those, we put the constraints on our life. That's when the game gets more fun. So keep doing that. It's great to share this time with you. I hope you have a good day or night. This has been Mark Walker, and this has been Fierce Encouragement. Take care. Bye.